Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Nate Doobie. This is the third episode of Five Town and Around podcast. Tonight we have special guest Nate Perkins, one of the realest motherfuckers I've ever met. Nate is an electrician, a family man. He's married to a beautiful woman, and he has quite a lot of interesting stories. From growing up in Massachusetts, high school, and all the various experiences that come along with that. So, Nate, welcome to Five Town and Around. How are you doing this evening?
I'm doing fantastic, Nate. How are you?
I'm doing good, and I'm very happy to have you here tonight.
Probably the only guy to have invited himself on the podcast. I pretty much hit you up 3-4 times telling you to put me on the podcast. Totally shameless. Sorry for that.
No, that's not a problem. After the first episode, I got a few likes and listens, and I said, if anyone wants to be on the show, hit me up. Now, I don't think you actually saw that, so you hit me up outside of that.
I didn't see that. I go by the beat of my own drum, Nate.
Yes, I can tell that. And, that's not a problem. I'm happy to have you on the show. You are a very interesting individual in that you are very real. You're raw in your realness. You also have the heart of gold, which, I've met guys like you who have the attitude and the language.
But they're pieces of shit.
Yeah, fair enough, yeah. So it's weird because you embody some of those aspects, but you actually...
Oh, I'm a piece of shit, for sure, for sure, Nate.
Well, see, I wouldn't go that far, and I don't personally believe that. That might be a...
I think we're all pieces of shit to an extent,
You've been listening to Slipknot a lot lately?
No, not a lot of Slipknot on the...
You're not a metalhead, right?
No.
Right.
I got into some screaming shit in college because some friends were into it.
Yeah.
I forget the name of the band.
Well, a lot of bands scream, so
it was screamy.
Screamy.
It was screamy. I wish I could remember the fucking name of it, but no, man. Was super pumped that you invited me on the podcast. But then once you did, when I'd get fucked up and I'd be like, I want to be on the podcast. I'm going to crush it. And then you were like, and then it happened and you sent out that ad.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, fuck. Like, I don't want to do it. and I was going to back out because that's what I do in my life. Is I back out of shit. It's so easy to not do something, and it got real, and I was like, oh, fuck, now I gotta do the podcast. So I thought about backing out, but then you invited me, and we were gonna do it last week, but we hit a bump in the road, and it was fine. And I was like, hey, maybe I won't do it. But I was like, nah, I got to do the fucking podcast.
And you're here, and that's good because.
And I'm on time too. I want you to notice that I'm a very punctual person.
Yes. The two times you've come over here and said you're going to be here for one reason or another, you have arrived exactly on time.
Maybe even early. Which
is good.
It is good. My mama raised me right, dude.
I can tell.
I got that from my father. My father is a very. We share that where we would rather be hanging out in the parking lot a few minutes early than to be rushing. I'm a very anxious person. I don't like to be under the gun.
Right.
I'd rather be in the parking lot smoking a bowl, ready to go.
Yeah.
Tip top Magoo.
Yeah.
So
is that for everything across the board? Like, is that for work? Is that like if you go to a concert?
For sure. With
whatever.
work, I'm supposed to be at work at 7:30, but my boss is never there until about 7:45, 7:50. But if I am running late and I'm going to be there at 7:40, it takes everything in me not to text him to be like, I'm going to be there at 7:40, but then I'm like, wait, Nate, like... You're psycho. He's not going to be there at 7:40. You'll be fine.
Right.
And then I'm thinking about the 10 minutes I stole from the company. You know what I mean? But so across the board, I'm also OC. I told my wife I think I'm OCD. She said you're nuttier than squirrel shit.
Did Yara really say that?
She didn't say it like that.
Right,
She said I was crazy. But for laughs, we'll call it nuttier than squirrel shit.
Okay.
And I was like, you might have a point. But I'm very neat. Like, if I do laundry and I fold the laundry and now I got to put it away, well, the kids' drawers are all fucked up. And I'm not going to put the laundry in the fucked up drawers, so now it looks like I'm folding everything in the fucking dress. I'm out of my fucking mind, Nate.
So it sounds like you might actually be OCD. See, I know someone who is OCD or used to be OCD.
For sure.
And this particular person used to get bent out of shape if there was water droplets in the sink after it was dry.
I'll wipe those down. I'll wipe those down. That's because he's a decent human being. Yeah, and he wants to go to heaven someday, you know what I mean? Like, get a hold of yourself. If you leave water beads in the kitchen sink after you've done dishes, you're a fucking domestic terrorist. You're like, stop it. Like, yes, I get it. So, OCD, I'm out of my mind, I'm OCD.
Yeah.
Anything I do, Nate, I do it to an unacceptable level, you know what I mean? If I love you, I'm over the top.
Right.
I'm over the top with everything that I do, and it's something that I've become aware of in my 30s. Focusing on being more livable, you know what I mean? Like realizing that I'm a very selfish person. You know what I mean? I'm very selfish, and I'm learning to realize that it's not all about me, that there's other people involved.
Now you say that, and I from some of the late night texts I've received from you.
No, and we'll get
several years ago.
We'll get into those, Nate.
I get the impression that and obviously you've had a family and you've been married for a while.
8 years now.
But I get the impression that your kids and, being a family man and being married has probably been one of the main things that's tempered you to an extent from your early 20s to now. Would that be a correct...
What you mean, like, kind of saved me?
Saved you and maybe calmed you down a little bit?
I don't know that I would be alive today if I didn't have the family that I have now.
Did you plan on having kids? Was that a plan? Or?
That's a fucking great question, Nate. And that will lead me to my first story. So,
excellent.
I met my beautiful wife while I was dating an Asian woman because I don't fuck with white girls. White girls get tan lines. I think it's gross. I don't do white girls. The white girls that I do want to fuck, I assume that they want nothing to do with me. They want, I want like a bombshell white girl that's gonna cheat on me and ruin my life. And
that sounds like you, Nate.
I assume that they don't want me. I assume that they're not interested in me. So when I was growing up, let me sit. I got this Mike's Hard Lemonade. Let me take a sip off this Mike's Hard Lemonade.
Hey, Mike's Hard Lemonade, if you're listening, I'd be happy to sponsor an episode.
It's actually not Mike's Hard Lemonade. It's Harder Lemonade because that's 8%, and it gives you more of that right there, Fred.
So that one was free, Mike's. Next time around, it's going to cost you about $50 per 30
exactly, and I'm going to be dipping into Nate's pockets too. So
it's going to be a little bit more expensive.
It's going to get expensive. But keep me on track. What were we talking about, Nate?
You don't date white girls. You were dating an Asian woman.
I was dating an Asian woman, and I had met her in college, and she was gorgeous. She was Cambodian, and I found myself drunk as a skunk, as you could imagine.
Does that happen often? Or is that
never. No, I'm not a big drinker.
No.
Hate drugs. Very straight edge. But I had a couple of glasses of Chardonnay, and I was on a little website called MySpace.
Yes, I'm familiar with MySpace.
And what's crazy about it is I was so fucking stupid. I didn't even have a picture. I just had the silhouette.
Yeah.
I was the creep of MySpace.
Right.
And I probably had a bottle of Jack Daniels in my left hand and the mouse in my right. And I I was like, show me black women. You could do this on MySpace. I like, you could do a little filter, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, show me black bitches within 15 miles of 01604. I was living at my dad's. I had just gotten kicked out of college. We'll get into that later.
That's a story I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, it's good. It's a good one. It's a doozy. So I'm living at my dad's, and I'm like, show me black girls within 15 miles of 01604. And one of the girls that showed up was this girl that was dark, gorgeous, and she was like straddling a door jamb. It's a very hilarious picture. But I was just like, and what I would look for, Nate, is girls that had their instant messenger ID on their profile so that I could slide into their... I was sliding into DMs before people were sliding into DMs.
Samson Simpson, if you're listening to this, I'm sure you're getting
Samson, and we'll get to Samson Simpson later. The fucking asshole unfriended me on Facebook. I got a problem with it. I gave that kid a pair of pumps, Reebok pumps, left him at his door. Was thank you'd by a unfriend, but that's a story for a different day.
Oh boy.
So this girl, Yara, she has her instant messenger on there, so I slid her an instant message, bling, or whatever the fuck noise it made back then.
MySpace was a long time ago. Nate.
It was a long time ago. MySpace saved my life.
Well, that's great.
MySpace saved my life. Thank you, Tom. That cocksucker. Whatever yacht you're doing blow off a stripper's ankle, thank you. So I slid into Yara's messenger and...
What did you say?
Who the fuck knows? But long story short, we start linking up, and like... With these stories, Nate, I at 34 years old, I've realized that my story is my story and I'm entitled to tell it.
Right.
But that I also need to respect other people's privacy, that people aren't as open book as I am. And my wife and I are a yin and a yang. We're completely different.
Literally.
And that's what makes it work. I mean, this woman was valedictorian of her high school class. She went to Holy Cross, an Ivy League school. My wife is...
She Catholic?
No.
So that was just a school thing.
It was, you know what it was? She could have went to any school in the world.
Yeah.
But what made most sense for the family...
At the time, yeah.
Because she's that girl who is like, it's not about me, which is... I might cry on this podcast.
No, you're allowed to cry, and if you do,
we can cry, dude. I'll cry. My wife is out of this fucking world, dude.
Well, she's married to you, so she has to.
She is out of this world, and she's one of these people. The word selfless, which I'm not. I am a selfish piece of shit, and I'm working on it.
You are.
But I am selfish, man, and it's about me. And if Nate, doesn't get his way, I'm gonna throw it. This was more in my 20s, but I'm gonna throw a tantrum, So I meet this girl, and I don't want to overshare because, like I said, my wife is a very reserved woman.
Right, you gotta.
She's a very reserved woman. Her story is not to be told to the public, and she's very quiet, and that's where we're different. But it got physical very quick. It got sexually physical very quick.
Do opposites attract, Nate? Would you say that's fair?
Yes and no. I think.
I mean, are you guys opposites, or do you
we are complete opposites.
Okay.
We're complete opposites. It's unreal. But I also think that, I'm a drug addict. I was alcohol. I've had my struggles. It would make sense for a guy like me to go after a girl that likes to party, But I think if I had done that,
You might be dead.
It would be bad, you know, and I didn't want that. I didn't want a girl that was, and I think in the beginning it was you know, when we had met, I had just gotten kicked out of college. I was living at my dad's. You know, if somebody needed a quarter pound of weed, you know, I'd take 18 grams out of it and you'd get a short QP and I'd make $150. And I was an opportunist weed dealer. I was not a weed dealer. I wasn't the real deal, you know what I mean? Right. But I that girl Han, the Asian that I was dating, her brothers were big time. They were big time out in Worcester. And
now this was when weed was still illegal?
Illegal as fuck, yeah. It was, you know...
Ironic, isn't it?
Let's say, for argument's sake, 2006.
Yeah, okay.
2005, 2006, 2007, you know what I mean?
Somewhere in that...
Around there, I don't fucking know. But, so I meet her I get with her, I meet her brothers. They're selling weed heavy. So now it's like, I don't have it, but I have it. You understand? It's like, I don't have it, but I can go get it. And I became that guy, and it was like, oh, you need a pound? And so I'd sell a pound to a dude, and I'd make a couple $100, and I'd skimp the fuck out of your pound and maybe take an ounce, and, you know, like a fucking shithead.
Yeah.
So,
you know, this is ironic talking about this because now that it's legal, you know, these conversations are basically null and void. And I don't want to get too far off because I want to stick with your story. But it's ironic how back in the day that would, like, if you get caught by the cops.
Oh, well, we'll go a step further with that. So let me stay on task here. You know, I'm selling the weed and I'm on. What's Tom's site there?
MySpace.
I'm on MySpace and I'm dating the Asian girl and but I'm kicked out of school. But I met the Asian girl at school. She was actually an RA.
So you were having an affair with this Asian girl when you met your...
I was cheating on the Asian with my now wife.
Okay.
Which I want to make clear. I'm not a cheater guy.
In retrospect, it maybe wasn't the best decision you've ever made.
No, it was because it led me to my children and my wife, and it was a great. But what I should have done was told the Asian girl goodbye. But you know what it was, is that Asian girl was so fucking hot, and I was so I'm a very shallow person. I'm very superficial. She was gorgeous. She had nice feet. Asian girls, they take care of their nails. She would do my feet. You know how some girls, when you fuck them, like, they need to get wet. Like, you gotta lick their box, or you gotta finger them a little, or you gotta kiss on their neck. Not this Asian girl. She was just like, she'd be watching the news, and you'd be like, listen, I need to get my rocks off. And she'd be like, yeah, just stick it in my pussy. You know what I mean? It's fine. And,
she couldn't have been that upset when you left then, based on the
description you've given. Who, the Asian?
The Asian, yeah.
Well, listen. So, it got very tough for me with, like, it was very light with my wife at this point. It was very light, and, but, like, I would touch Yara's leg, my wife, and I'd be like, it was different than the leg of the girl that I was with. It was just fucking with me, bro, you know? But I couldn't...
So you did have a conscience...
no, it was killing me. It was killing me, you know? For personal reasons, with my own life and my parents, I'm not a cheater. I'm not, you know? And that's why I don't like that whole thing, like, oh, once a cheater, always... No, dude, like, I don't cheat, dude.
But you were cheating at the time.
I was, yeah, for sure.
But you felt bad about it.
It was rough. So, but I couldn't break it off with, and the Asian, she didn't have a fucking car, so I became, like, the dude picking her. It was, like, not even fun. I didn't like being with her, but I loved her vagina, and I loved her Asianness. I just loved her. I didn't love her. I just loved fucking seeing her naked. You know what I mean? And I didn't have it in me to break it off. And I was smoking weed like someone bet me I couldn't at the time. And
oh, you smoke less now?
I actually do. Yeah, I smoke every day. I smoke, but at the time it was like, and we'll get into that later, but I was smoking a lot of weed and my car always smelled like weed, and it started to bother her, the Asian girl, and I think it was more like the relationship that I had forged with her brothers. Like she was just like, I'm not into it. And I think both of us were at a point where we were just like...
She didn't smoke?
She did, but very rarely. I packed a bong once and she blew into it. And blew water out of it and fucked up my weed, and I wanted to slap a bitch, but I didn't. And
well, good.
It got
you, Nick.
I don't slap bitches. I don't slap bitches. So it got to a point where I think both of us weren't into it anymore.
Sounds about appropriate.
And she was like, "Listen, Nate, like your car always reeks like weed. You're a piece of shit. Like if you pick me up and you smell like weed one more time, we're done." And in my head, I was like, oh shit, we're fucking done, And so I show up to her school after I'd gotten kicked out and my car's bombed out, and she broke up with me, and I got on my knees naked because we were about to have sex, and was like, no, I'm the crazy white guy. Like, I'll threaten to kill myself if you break up with me.
Jeez, you are the crazy white guy.
Yeah, I'm that guy.
Or you used to be.
I don't know. I think I'm still pretty crazy, but so I pleaded with her and da. And so she, long story short, she was out of the picture, and it was back to this Yara girl, and
I assume Yara knows all these stories because
she knows that she was like the other girl, you know what I mean? But she also knows me, and the reality of my story is, Nate, is like I've slept with 4 women in my life. And a lot of people, if around the edges...
I'm shocked.
Around the edges, people think that I'm like this guy that's fucking hookers and doing drugs and being nuts. And that's just not the case. And the truth is like, if I have a shot at a one-night stand, as soon as that girl touches my dick, I'm going to come all over the room. Like, you ever seen American Pie?
A long time ago.
Yeah, it's a classic.
Classic. I think I was 12.
Yeah, it was a great movie, but there was a scene where the Jew-looking motherfucker with the curly hair, he was a Jew. I think he was a Jew.
Yes, I'm familiar.
Yeah. The Nadia. Remember Nadia? She was fucking, she was the foreign exchange student. She touched his dick. And every ounce of sperm in his body came out of his cock. That's me. That's me. I hate to admit it. Like, I wish I could say I could just fuck bitches. Like, oh, you want to fuck? Like, let's fuck. But that's not me. Like, I get so excited that another human's touching my dick. I get even more excited that it's a stranger. And I just can't handle it. I'm very female. I'm a very female type of guy. Like, I was raised by a mother, a sister. I need to watch a Lifetime movie with you, eat some Breyers, vanilla bean, maybe cry.
Now, is this a joke? Or
no, I'm not eating Breyers. I need to be comfortable.
You strike me as a Haagen-Dazs or Ben & Jerry's type.
I like the Ben & Jerry's. I like
the
coffee Heath bar is a good one. I don't like too much. I get the kitchen sink sometimes, and it makes me shit.
So you're not into fish food?
I don't... What, the PHISH food? Yeah, that's what you like, you fucking greasy hippie.
Yeah, that's me. At least it used to be. Now I work...
What do they got in there? Chemtrails?
Yeah, lots of chemtrails.
Yeah. Everything... Is it fair trade?
It is, supposedly, but...
It should... there's a little brown boy dying because of that ice cream, Nate. Let's stop it. Can we stay on task, though?
You diverted.
All right. What are we talking about, Nate? So get me on task.
You are not. Well, let's see. reviewed your love life up until mid-college. Now your Asian girlfriend, who's no longer...
She's out of the picture.
Right, so...
So now it's just Yara, right?
Yeah. Now, when you first met Yara, let's say you're this far along in this relationship, did she know any of this about you, or did you lay this on, like...
Say that again?
Like, your whole relationship with the Asian girl, up until this point, now let's say you're, like, a month into... dating or whatever you want to call it with Yara. Did she know about your past up to that point, or did you wait till like you were married for 3 years?
I think we might have. I don't think we were married, but I waited to say it. I think she knew before we got married that was the case. And to be honest with you, I'm not fully convinced that I like banged Yara while I was with the Asian girl. We got sexual.
You were too stoned to tell.
It's a long time ago, you know what I mean? But like, I cheated on the Asian, you know.
I think that's clear, Nate.
I cheated on the Asian, and then so I'm with this girl, but both of us don't really know. We're just thinking that it's a MySpace hookup, and she's like apprehensive, and I'm apprehensive, and but then, like, I'm living at my dad's at this point because I got kicked out of college, and I'll tell you that story a little bit later. But I got kicked out of college, so I'm living at my dad's, and she's going to school at Holy Cross. And it gradually was like I was going over there to sleep because she was an RA. So the Asian, I got a thing for authority figures, I guess.
Apparently.
And they do me because they're like, this kid's such a piece of shit. Like, maybe I can fix him. Yeah, that's probably what it is. You know, they got their issues too, Nate. Let's not forget that.
Okay.
So Yara's loving me. She's like, this dude's such a fucking loser. I love it.
So the valedictorian loves the white loser kid.
Yeah. That like is like ripping people off with weed and like collecting unemployment. So I start hanging out at her school more and more. But then that's weighing on me too, because I'm like, all these fucking rich white kids like are looking at me like, look at this piece of shit that doesn't go to school here, that's living at Holy Cross. So I would try to get away as much as I could, but...
You assume all these people are thinking that, but you were the same age as them, right?
I was, but
so it sounds like
dude, it's ridiculous. I am very... My marriage counselor, who I no longer see... Love him. Shout out Leonard, who quite possibly saved my marriage. Said that I'm the most like introspective person he's ever met, or like, I think that's the word, like self-reflective.
Those are both.
And I was like, we have no more to talk about here. Like, thank you, Leonard. I'm glad you realized. But yeah, I'm very.
Hey Leonard, if you ever want to come on the show, it's 5 Town and Around. My name's Nate Doobie. Hit me up.
Leonard, shout out Leonard. He was black too, which was a big problem for me because I felt like I was gonna get like, I was like, my wife's black, he's black.
You're not gonna get a fair shake.
They're gonna beat the shit out of me or something like just for my white privilege. But he was young too. But he was fantastic. But let's stay on task.
I'm trying, Nate. Trust me.
Where are we at? What's my point? I'm making a point.
I'm trying to figure that out. So. You and Yara are currently dating at Holy Cross. You're both not sure what's going on. How soon until you guys are in Arizona?
All right, yeah. So I stayed with her all through college. She was probably like a junior.
Yeah.
Maybe I might even met her freshman year. It got to a point, bro, where I was like living in the dorm room. I was smoking weed in the shower. I would put I'd go into the bathroom and turn the shower up high and with the steam, and I'd smoke, and she's an RA, and...
How do you smoke in the shower? Like,
well, not in the shower, but like in the bathroom with the shower.
If you're literally smoking in the shower, that's it. Yeah.
And so one night, I'm going to lead into all this, we got to keep it moving here.
Yeah, we do.
What are we at?
We're at 30 minutes. We're the halfway mark.
Yeah, we're going to do an hour, Nate.
Oh, absolutely.
We're going to do an hour.
I think it'll be the first full hour episode.
Yeah, it will be, and you'll be like, shut up. So
it takes a lot to annoy the shit out of me, Nate, so I doubt that.
So one night, my dad, I'm living with my dad, and every day that he comes home, so my mom's last attempt to, my mom, God bless her, she's one of my favorite human beings in the world. Shout out Karen Goodwin, is my hero. She's the best. She was paying for me to go to college, and I got kicked out, and I couldn't come to her to tell her I got kicked out, so I moved to my dad's and did that for a couple of years, and then in 2009 she was like, what are we doing here? I'm out in Worcester. I would get in for free at Centerfolds in Worcester because I love tits, so I would go into the titty bar and I'd get free admission, and my mom's like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, what are you gonna do? And she's like, maybe you should go to trade school. So she put me into Porter and Chester in 2009 to do electrical, and I hadn't even turned a wire nut at that point.
Now, is this the first time you studied electric, or is the second?
Yes, no, that's the first, 2009, and you know what it was, is my mom, I was collecting unemployment at the time, and she was like, if you go into school, unemployment will extend your benefits for the rest of the year, for a whole year, and you'll get $250 a week. And I was like, dude, like, I'll be a proctologist. I don't care. Like, if you're gonna extend my benefits because kids that were in school were working part-time for that $250 a week. Right. I was getting it for free. So I did that, and I was a mess, and I wasn't into it. And I finished up the schooling and got a job, and all the while I'm living at my dad's, and I'm dating Yara, and I told her I love her, and then it was
Did you at the time when you first said it?
No, and I told her that. I said, no, I'm sorry, and she's like, Jesus Christ, dude, like, there's not, the only thing sweeter than telling a girl you love her is telling her that you were wrong about it. Like, that was a dickhead move. But it was, like, how I felt. But she loved me. This girl, I mean, clearly, dude, through thick and thin, she loves me.
Let me get this straight. Yara did love you. You told her that you loved her.
I loved her.
But you lied.
I just was like, I don't know if I love you. Right. I take it back.
Yara, I know you're eventually going to listen to this again. You're a saint at this current date.
She's the most.
I've yet to meet you, and both my wife and I want to meet you because we are both befuddled as how you ended up with this lovely human being.
She's the most amazing person
She's got to be Nate.
She saved my life.
Don't get me wrong. Like, I think you're a genuinely awesome and amazing human being. It's just you have.
I have my faults.
Your biggest thing is that, trust me, this isn't judging.
Judge away, Nate, because I judge myself, I'm not proud. When you get semi-sober, when you stop doing hard drugs and the dust settles, the hardest thing to deal with is the horrible things that you did when you were fucked up. You know what I mean? So judge away.
I'm not judging. I'm just saying, most people have, the subconscious mind and then the conscious mind, and then people filter their thoughts, where it seems like your subconscious mind bubbles up into your head, and it doesn't matter what it is, you just let it out. And if anybody asks you a question...
It helps me. And you know what that results in? Is people tell me stuff that they don't tell their spouses. People confide in me, which is bad because I have such slippery lips. And I asked my cousin once, I told her that, it's crazy how people confide in me. And she goes, the reason why they do is because you're not full of shit. And everyone feels that, and you bring a comfort over people. So, I do. I think I'm a piece of shit. I think people don't like me, that as a child, I was a hard person to be your friend. But the one thing that I will...
All of that's bullshit.
At 34 years old, what I will say is that a good quality about me is that I'm just very genuine, and I wear my heart on my sleeve.
Yeah.
And people respect that. We all have things that we're...
Yeah.
On Facebook and on all these platforms, everybody's life is perfect, and it's not. But I'm the only guy talking about it. So people are
there's
a few, but
there's actually a fair amount of people who air their dirty laundry
in an untasteful way.
But what I like about like the shit you say on social media is it's raw, and it might make some people uncomfortable, but it's also not just like, oh, like I've never heard you complain about your wife or your life, your family life, or anything.
Right.
Like when you bitch on Facebook.
Which by the way, if you've had to follow me on Facebook for the last 10 years and you haven't unfollowed me, you're a piece of shit. Because nothing makes a man like me hate himself more than looking at his Facebook memories and seeing the shit at 2:48 a.m. when I was listening to a Tupac album.
See, I don't need to
dude, it's cringeworthy.
Oh, it is.
It is cringeworthy.
But I don't have to...
I'm sorry to each and every one of you, and I thank you for your support, and I'm cleaning it up. I still try to keep it funny, but I could probably look up memories right now on my phone and be ashamed. I'm on here now.
You can do that, but I wouldn't read any of the things that you...
Wendy's used to be the shit with the 4 for $4 till I found out Burger King's meal special for $3.79. I'ma die young. I know this, but it's worth the bargain. Hey, that's not bad.
No, Shane Martell, I think you could appreciate that. If you're listening,
yeah,
Shane, you would...
Yeah, that's a great deal, and I think they did away with it. That one's not that bad.
No, that's not
but
that
like,
bad at all.
For a while, I thought I was black. You know what I mean? And I just have some cringeworthy...
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but when you were in the hospital, you were, as a child, a baby, you received blood from a black man. I got some
blood from a black man. Right. My mom, responded and was like, that's not the exact story. And I was like, that doesn't matter. Like, fuck the facts. I'm black.
Have you ever listened to Stevie Ray Vaughan? He's a guitar
player. Yeah, dude, he did so much blow that he could, floss his nose holes. Yeah. And then he died in a plane crash. The guy shredded.
Helicopter, actually. But
helicopter.
He did actually believe that he was a black man reincarnated. And
that's great. and he's Stevie Ray Vaughan, so go fuck yourself. You know what I mean? Yeah. But let's stay on task. So I had a bad night with my dad, because every day that he would come home, I'd be sitting on the couch with a 40 ounce, because I thought I was black. In my 20s, I was black. Like, I was Rashawn. And I was hanging out with some kids that were gang affiliated out in Worcester, and I just thought I was like,
that
dude,
cool.
Like, I'm that. I was lost. I was a lost kid for a long time, until my 30s, where I was like, everything that I'm looking for is right here with these kids.
Before we go too much further with this, like, I don't want our listeners to get the wrong idea, but I think part of the reason you say I thought I was black is one that you genuinely...
I thought they were cool. Like, cool black people are...
And you obviously still have an affinity for black people.
100%. So does Keith Richards. Yeah. Like, if you listen to
absolutely.
him, so do a lot of people, and people don't talk about that. And it's cool, like black people look dope in white. Like, if they wear a white t-shirt, or, like, I look like a patient if I wear white. They look like they're ready for a video shoot. Like, I just think black people are cool.
African Americans are amazing, and
we don't gotta say African Americans. We can say black. Like,
black is cool too, man. Like,
black is cool.
Like
we're not saying colored. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, we're all right. I'm not saying anything. I just think I'll tell you what.
It's funny
I
you say
used
that,
to
though.
watch MTV raps.
Yeah.
When I was at my mom's, I was a very sheltered kid. I didn't drink in high school. I tried weed for the first time in high school, whatever.
Yeah.
But the one thing we had was MTV videos, and it was rappers with a bunch of black bitches shaking their asses, and I was like, this is where it's at. And my mom told me to this day, she was like, once I realized that I couldn't be a basketball player, I was like, I'll just marry a black girl and I'll make one. You know what I mean?
So that's Andre.
Andre, my two boys, man. Andre and Xavier. Andre's 8.
Yeah.
I believe 2002. Hold on, 2010 he was born. 11. I think he's 9. Andre's 9. He's gonna be 10. He's his father's son. He's impulsive. He has ADD.
20 years from now, he's going to be on the show.
I hope so. He has ADD. He's impulsive. The one thing he doesn't get from me is he's a meticulous liar. He's a great liar. He doesn't like to. When I got in trouble as a kid, I just owned up to it because I knew that.
You strike me as the type who doesn't lie. You're just blatantly.
I'm just like, I did it.
Yeah.
And I learned a long time ago. I was in high school and I took typing class. What are we at, Nate? What are we at?
Oh, we're at. Let's see. We got 20 minutes left.
Of an hour?
Yep.
That's perfect. Yeah, so I took a typing class in high school.
Was that with Miss Dill?
Gray hair, short, and it was one of the best classes that I've ever had in my life because I know how to type to this day. And you put your little pointers on those knobs. And I'm not the best. Yeah. I'm no Emily French, but like I killed it. I did my thing, and I fell well behind in the class. I fell well behind.
Yeah. And
one day, I grabbed the wrong 3.5-inch floppy disk for all you young fucks out there. That's a dinosaur USB.
Yeah.
And mine was red, and I grabbed my red 3.5-inch floppy, and it wasn't mine. It was Ron Besaw. Shout out to Ron Besaw. He's somewhere out there.
Ronnie,
he's probably got 3 kids.
I think he's got 2. Ronnie, last time I saw you was at a gas station in Sturbridge. We should catch up sometime.
Holler at your boy, Ron. Sorry I stole your 3.5-inch floppy, but here it goes. So it started off an honest mistake.
Yeah.
But then my teacher was down my neck. Old Dill Pickle was on my old Dill Pickles was on my fucking dick about all this work that I owed her.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I was behind and I was under the gun, and B-Saw had it all. B-Saw had it all done. So it started off an honest mistake, but then the devil crept in. And I was like, so it gets better, Nate. It gets better, Nate. So I fucking print out all this shit. I'm like, Gucci. Like, I'm passing this class this year. But my dumb fuck ass, at the bottom of every page, what do you know? It didn't say Ronnie B-Saw, it said B-Saw. And this story gets better. I told you, I'm going to be the best fucking podcast on this shit.
Does Ronnie know about this?
Maybe. I don't know. Holler. He wasn't in trouble. He didn't come in that day. Ron was out. Ron had a stomach ache.
He might have been with me smoking a blunt on top of a mountain.
Yeah,
somewhere.
Probably. But I was in class using a 3.5-inch floppy. The story gets better. Oh, it gets better. So I pass in all this shit, and the teacher's like, what the fuck? Like, what, did Nate get an extra dose of Adderall this morning? Like, what the fuck? And she, like, pulls me aside, and she's like, what's wrong with you? You fucking idiot. Every page has B-Saw's name on it. Like, you cheated. I'm calling your mom. You're fucked. And so a guy like me, and this is where me and Andre are different, is I went right home, and when my mom got home, I always knew with my mom raised me right. She's a beautiful woman. She's a beautiful mother. She raised me right, and she raised me to be honest. And I knew that I never got ass whooping, so I'm using this metaphorically, but I knew that call the cops before you call my mother, please. I was always afraid of my mother. Because she raised me. That's I was horrified of her.
Yep.
And she instilled in me that if you did something fucked up, I better find out through you.
Right.
Than through the next person.
Yeah.
And so I went right to my mom after school and was like, we got a problem. Like, I cheated hard in typing class. I was under the gun. I had to... I took the floppy disk by accident. he had all the work, da 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 da. So the Dill Pickles calls my mom, and she's like, hey, we got a situation. And my mom was like, I know. And she was like, what do you mean you know? And she was like, Nathan told me. And Dill Pickles was like, she was like, oh my God. Like,
this is Dill, I hope you're not listening to
shout out Dill Pickles. I hope you're still alive. Your hair was white as the fucking driven snow when you were my teacher like 100 years ago. So rest in peace. I hope your family's well. Let us know what nursing home you're at, dude. So Dill Pickles calls my mom, and my mom's like, we know what happened. And Dill Pickles was like, I was gonna fail him. I was shutting it down for the year, but I'm so blown away by his honesty that he told you, and he's such a funny kid. I'm gonna pass him, and that was a life lesson.
Yeah.
Where it was just like, and I try to instill that in Andre, and Andre's the type of dude that will commit a crime in our house and convince his younger brother to take the heat for it because he's a fucking monster. You know what I mean? So we're working on it. But, Nate, let me tell you something. Is there any way we can temporarily pause this?
Yeah, sure.
I piss, and we come back and we wrap it up.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a short break.
Short break. I have to piss my dick out. My dick is numb right now, folks.
All right, we're going to take a short break. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, we had a short break there. Nate and myself are back. So we're going to continue where we left off. Mr. Perkins, we've talked about a lot of interesting aspects of your life, and I think we're coming up on an interesting topic. Marijuana and alcohol are interesting drugs, but there are some more interesting drugs that people come across in their lifetime, particularly during their college years.
Some later than others, you know. I was a late bloomer with drugs, you know. The first one that hit me was, and I hate the name, I hate using this name for it, is, you know, air quotes, you can't see me, but air quotes, Molly. And I got really into around 2014, 2013. And, you know, and I had done coke for the first time in college. Yeah. I was probably 20. It was like a commercial. Yeah. A kid brought me upstairs, brought me into the dorm room, showed me a line of coke. I was like, it looked like a dead baby on a, you know, to me, like, I was like, holy shit.
So you had done Molly or MDMA up to this point?
No. Yeah, so, you know, I started smoking weed in college. I was a very sheltered kid, you know.
You didn't smoke weed until how old?
And I won't tell his name, but he was a kid in Sturbridge. Everybody knows him if I said his name. But he was smoking. A lot of kids were smoking weed in high school, but I had this mother that I was mortified of. And so the first time I smoked weed was before a basketball game. I was wearing a shirt and tie. And,
what age?
It's a great question. I was playing freshman basketball, and so 8th, 9th grade.
Okay, yeah. So
8th or 9th grade, right?
14, give or take.
Which is crazy to think about, but here's the story. It's not even. I mean, you're gonna laugh. It was with a couple of kids who, great guy. I don't know what happened with one of them, but the other kid, great dude, great athlete. But they were just those young kids that smoked pot, and I was this kid who was afraid of all that, you know. And they were like, "I have some pot," and you remember the old gym? It wasn't the gym, but it was the bomb shelter where they did the plays.
Oh yeah, you're talking about the
old Tantascwa.
Yeah, well, it was designed to kind of look like the theater in. The Tweeter Center is basically
sure, but nonetheless, it was there. And remember the back stairwell when they did way back when they did the graduations, the kids would come in through the back. Yeah. There was it was almost like a bulkhead, like a little stairway. Yeah. And these two kids were like, "We're gonna go right out back there. We're gonna smoke weed. Yeah. Do you want to come?" And they might as well have handed me a syringe, you know, like I was mortified.
That's crazy.
And they said, one of the kids said, rip this and breathe deep, like when the doctor tells you deep breaths. That's what the kid said to me, right? So I did that, and I took one rip, and I handed the bowl to whoever, and I took off running, like Forrest Gump, because I was and then I played in that game, and I scored 0 points. And it was nuts. And then I smoked weed maybe 2 more times.
Did you get high the first time you smoked?
That time, no. I just wanted to say that I did it.
Right.
And then get the fuck out of there so that I didn't go to jail for the rest of my life. I didn't get
high until the 3rd time I smoked weed.
That was just one rip, and who knows if I even did it right. And I was like, all I could think was Mr. Casticelli's going to pop out.
Mr. Casticelli.
And I'm going to go to jail for the rest of my life. So and those 2 boys, dude, they must have laughed their ass off as they saw me sprint. I ran for my life after I took that one rip, and they were like, where are you going? And I'm like, don't worry about it, I'm out. And so it wasn't, and I didn't drink in high school. I was just a good kid. I wanted to be a basketball player. I wanted to, but then I met black people and was like, I'm not playing basketball.
That sounds awful. The way
Yeah,
that you
just fuck it.
How you transition?
Throw on a fucking basketball game, dude. Tell me what you see. Go fuck yourself.
Well, just going from like, I just started smoking weed to that. But obviously you're.
And then I move on to college. And this black kid, he looked like a Teddy Graham. You remember Teddy Grahams?
Yes,
he looked like a Teddy Graham. Yeah, he looked like a Teddy Graham. They used to even call him that.
Yeah, I remember
and
Teddy Grahams.
And he was like, yo, I sell weed, and if you buy a bag of weed, I give you a cigar with it. And I'm like, I don't understand. Like, I do not understand.
How old were you when this happened?
I moved into college at 17 years old. And...
Shit, I smoked weed at 14, I think. So I think I technically started smoking weed before you, which is hilarious. Or around the same time.
I'm a late bloomer with everything. So this, I'm like, I don't even understand. Like, what, I'm going to smoke this weed out of a tin can, and then I'm going to smoke a cigar after it? I just didn't understand. And so that began, and then weed ruined my life because, like, I wasn't ready. I believe that anything can ruin your cheeseburgers, can ruin your life, like whatever. And I was so unused to the being watched over and being made accountable, and I'm very impulsive. And I became like a crackhead to weed. I was that kid.
You became, like, the DARE program literally turned you into the thing.
I was very nervous. Even though I have this a very interesting drug background, I was always very nervous of drugs, which is so crazy about it.
I have to interject here, and I'll only do it shortly because I want
to do that.
What's interesting about this is because I was raised the whole DARE, like, drugs are bad, blah, blah, blah. And the first time I smoked weed, I was 14, and I had been asked several times prior to that, probably from the age of 12 to 13. I just said no. Now, the internet had just started being relatively useful without having to wait 15 minutes to actually get onto it. And I started studying marijuana, and I studied the drug for 6 months before I actually consumed it. And at the time, it wasn't like the internet now. You had to dig for this stuff. But I found this resounding, interesting bit of information is that most people who had smoked marijuana had found that, one, it wasn't nearly as harmful as the powers that be told you. And I remember feeling just rebellious for studying this on my own and finding this information and being like, wow, not only are there other people my age who believe this, there are, people in their 20s, 30s, 40s, and 50s, and maybe even older, who are writing about marijuana and saying, everything you've been told is bullshit. Now, that was scary. And this was before the internet was like the internet now.
Mm-hmm.
And so I did a lot of research, and a buddy of mine finally convinced me. He's like, so do you want to smoke weed? And I was like, you know what? After doing the research that I did, I'm fairly convinced that at least 50% of everything I've been told is horseshit. So yes, I'm going to smoke.
How old are you at this point?
14. I smoked 3 times, and it was the 3rd time that I actually got high. And I'll never forget the experience because...
It's like no high that you ever had now when you smoke weed, right?
No.
You're on a class. It's like you're like fucked up, dude.
Plus it was
I remember that in college, my freshman year of college, looking at, remember the Bob Marley poster of Bob Marley made of a bunch of pictures of Bob Marley?
Yeah.
I'll never forget looking at that
look
picture.
at the room we're in, man. Like, there's vague references to that. Like,
yeah, no, that's all well and great, but I'm smoking weed right now as we speak, and I'm not...
it doesn't do that.
No, it keeps me from fucking skull fucking your mother when she cuts me off in traffic. You know what I mean? Like it's not, when I got high as a freshman, I was like, I might as well have been on fucking heroin, dude. Yeah. Like, I'm serious. I was so fucking high. You know what I mean?
Cloud 9. Like, for me, it was a pre-psychedelic experience, and I got the whole like colorful aspect. Like, I don't know about you, but when I first started smoking weed, I could close my eyes and I would have what is commonly referred to as visuals, which is more associated with...
shrooms and acid and all that bullshit.
Right. So, it's interesting to talk about this, and I think marijuana is something that I definitely wanted to hone in on a little bit, because if you go back into history, particularly in the United States... and anybody who's listening to this, if you're not the type of person who's into marijuana culture, or you're like, I don't approve of this or whatever...
you can go fuck yourself. Write your name down. We have a little suggestion box, and we'll gladly respond to let you know that you should fucking hang yourself like Jeffrey Epstein, you cocksucker. Here's the thing.
Most people who listen to this are going to find that funny. I'm just, if, 30 years from now, this is actually listened to by like 100,000
because
people.
Nate Perkins became the best comedian in the fucking world.
Stranger things have happened in the history of the world.
They have.
But
don't sleep on me, cocksuckers.
We're talking about marijuana being legal now. Like, how long... Well, actually, in Portland, Oregon, all natural psychedelics have been legalized. So, psilocybin, ibogaine, salvia divinorum, DMT as ayahuasca. I don't
know, man. I delved into psychedelics lightly. Not for me, especially at this age. I don't have my shit together.
You don't like mushrooms?
The last time I ate mushrooms was on Christmas Day. I ate like 1.5 grams. And I was like the best father in the world. Like we set up bowling pins in the hallway, and like I was like just the most fucking loving dude in the world. But I kept like going to the basement because I'm too old, dude. I'm too old for like I'm too old for all that shit. No fucking way. Mm. And I never did acid because like. And everybody that knew me that did acid was like, nah, Nate, don't do acid. Like, you're a fucking mess. Like, don't do it. And I'm all set. I think that shit's bad. I think that shit's the devil. But let me get to my point. So
yeah, let's bring it back around.
In closing is like the two drugs that I'm a fucking pervert. I like sex, and I like sex drugs, and that was coke and Molly,
Sounds like you're really addicted to dopamine and serotonin.
Yeah, and getting my dick hard and eating some box, and then you start doing hard drugs, you might as well shit down my throat while you're at it. Like I'm out of my fucking mind at that point, dude. I'm a creep. I get creepy on coke and Molly. So I start doing Molly in 2014, 2013, and I'm working a desk job, and I got a little calendar, and I would put a star on the calendar every night that I did Molly, and like at the end of the month, it looked like the fucking 4th of July on my like there were stars everywhere. I was doing it 3-4 nights a week, and my boss, who I have now at the time talking to me, who's now my boss, was like, you need to chill out because you're not going to want to have sex without doing Molly. And I ended up selling a little bit of the shit that I got to somebody, and they were like, just so you know, we're going to test it because we test before we ingest because we're responsible drug users, unlike me. And he tested it, and he's a good friend of mine, still is to this day. I won't mention his name, but we all know him and love him. And he was like, hey, just a heads up, NATO. that was not Molly that he sold me. That was M1, also known as methadone. And you know, you look at it from a science perspective, and it's MDMA with a fucking atom that's not supposed to be there, or some shit. And it came out in 2003, and I'm essentially the test rabbit for the shit. Cause like if I grow a third fucking leg tomorrow, who knows? So it was that, and the stuff took a toll on me. And if I got nervous.
Yeah.
If I was in a socially nervous atmosphere, my head would twitch. And if I went, like right now we're in a nice warm house, I go outside, I'm cold, it would cause my head to tweak out.
Right.
And I started to be a mess. And then a girl died at the House of Blues in Boston, and they found methadone in her purse.
Right.
And it was right around the time that my man said that was methadone, and the reason behind me stopping doing quote unquote Molly, which folks don't like stop. Like drugs are bad, you know what I mean? I'm not saying any of this stuff to glorify it or to say it's cool, because it's not. I don't even want my kids to smoke weed. Like, you know what's dope is like being like the dude in Paid in Full that like you don't do nothing. You're just like, you're always playing chess, you're always thinking, you're sober. Right. You don't need that because you're better than that. That's dope. You know what I mean?
You can ultimately get an endorphin high, and endorphins are actually...
Go work out. Go beat off. Beating off's great. I love beating my dick.
Those are all naturally occurring opiates in the brain. Orgasm, exercise,
right,
and achieving goals.
Right.
These all release natural chemicals in the brain.
Right.
But they, one of the things that's interesting about exercise and sex and whatnot, and we're coming to the end of our...
Yeah, we will, and I'm going to cut you off, Nate, so we can wrap this up. It's just that, I went in about my problems on Facebook, which was kind of crazy, but I felt like I needed support, and I was in a bad place, you know what I mean? And the outreach of people that came forward, and friends, parents, one person in particular, and she gave me permission to mention her name, was Kim Pradella, Babe's sister, is a family that I always held in high regard and thought they must think that a guy like me is a piece of shit. She reached out to me personally, to the point where, and I respect her privacy. She's a great woman. She's got a great husband. She took my health insurance information and looked into counselors for me. This girl really went in. So shout out to her and to everyone else. And they know who you know who you are. You were one person that got calls at 2 a.m. or text 2 a.m. So everyone who helped out, things are going much better for me. I'm super happy that Nate invited me on this podcast, and I hope I lived up to the hype, however big or small that hype might have been. My man, thank you, Nate. Appreciate you.
Likewise, Nate. It was great and enlightening, and a little scary having you on the show, but you know what?
We made it.
We did. And ladies and gentlemen, I know a lot of you are looking forward to this particular interview. I hope you enjoyed it.
View it. I want more views than Trav. I want more views than the broad that was on. God bless you, whoever you are. I'll respect, but I want the most views, so let's go.
So that's it for this episode of Five Town and Around. And hey, you know what? If he does get the most views, maybe we'll have him back on the show again.
Yeah, we better. I gotta piss again, folks. We'll talk to you another time.
This is Nate Doobie and Nate Perkins signing out from Five Town and Around. Have a good night, guys. Be safe, be well.
Later.